When my son was little, I often said that parenting him felt like playing a whack-a-mole game. As soon as we made progress on one thing, something else popped up, and then another, and then another. Now that my son is 26, I can look back and see how much was changing along the way. But when he was little, I rarely had that perspective. I was too busy dealing with what was right in front of me. The next challenge, the next fire, the next thing that needed immediate attention. And I know that that's where you, as a dedicated parent, often find yourself. You work hard on one issue, and just as it starts to ease, a new one arises. I sometimes said it felt like pushing an elephant up a hill. Not because I didn't want to do all I could to help my son, but because I loved him more than life and felt the weight of wanting to do everything I could to help him. If that sounds like you, please stay with me for just a few minutes because I want to help you reclaim the joy by committing to celebrating your own progress. Here's something I've noticed over the years in my own situation and with my clients. When new challenges appear, they tend to crowd out our memory of what used to be hard. We're so focused on what's right in front of us that we forget to look back. We forget that putting on socks used to be a battle, or getting dressed used to derail the whole morning, or leaving the house used to take everything you had. And now those are just steps, things we do, not milestones, not celebrations, just part of the day. And that doesn't mean they weren't real progress. It means they became integrated. And integrated progress makes it easy to miss. I want to offer you a short reflection you can do, not to judge yourself and not to fix anything, but to help you see what you may be overlooking. This isn't about your whole parenting journey. It's about a small, contained window of time. First, choose a specific time frame, not since my child was little, something more recent, 6 months ago, last school year, before summer. Maybe before you worked on mornings or bedtimes or transitions. Just pick one. And now think of one small thing that used to be hard. Not the biggest challenge, just a challenge. The more specific, the better. I want you to picture how that used to go. How long did it take? How much energy did it require? How tense did it feel in your body? Now look at that same thing today. Is it faster, less explosive, more predictable, or simply no longer the thing dominating your attention? Even if the best you can say is that it's no longer the thing keeping you up at night, that counts. I sometimes hear from my clients that it's easier now because my child grew or matured. And growth absolutely matters, but children don't grow in a vacuum. Growth happens inside a relationship. So instead of stopping at my child grew, I want you to ask a slightly different question. I want you to ask, what did I do differently that made room for that growth? Maybe you changed an expectation, provided more support, stopped turning it into a power struggle, slowed the moment down, scaffolded instead of pushing, stayed calmer than you used to, or stopped fighting a particular battle. And again, even if the answer is, I stopped making this harder than it needed to be, that counts. I hope you'll hear this loud and clear. Your child didn't just grow. They grew within an environment that you created. Now take that same time frame and look not at your child, but at you. How did you used to respond in those moments? How do you respond now? Are there times you're able to stay more calm? Times you're able to see your child's behavior differently? If your reactions aren't identical to the way they were 6 months ago, you've grown too. Parents sometimes say to me, I don't yell anymore except I lost it this morning. And immediately the self-judgment starts. Often there's a belief underneath that if you're hard enough on yourself, it somehow will inspire you to do better next time. I do understand that instinct. I know I used to beat myself up all the time in the hopes that it would make me better. But I learned over time that it didn't lack motivation. And like you, I was already making dozens of judgment calls a day, already regulating myself in moments that tested me, already revising my approach in real time. Self-judgment usually doesn't push growth forward. It drains the very energy that growth requires. Showing yourself grace doesn't lower the bar. It gives you the steadiness to keep reaching for it. And here's a perspective to consider when you do lose control. Because it happens. Your child learns something important when that happens. They learn that adults are human, that relationships can recover, that accountability doesn't require shame, and that mistakes don't end connection. These moments aren't failures, they're opportunities. Parenting growth doesn't mean never struggling again. It means struggling differently, repairing more often, judging yourself less harshly over time. If you wouldn't erase your child's progress because of a hard day, don't erase your own. You're allowed to grow the exact same way you allow your child to grow, messily, unevenly, and honestly. In my small group coaching groups, we usually start off each session with a celebration. And believe me, when I first started participating in groups where that happened, I rolled my eyes like so hard you could like fall off on the floor. I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. But what I learned again over time is that it is important to celebrate yourself. You're working hard, you're doing a great job. Try to find the celebrations, because otherwise we focus on the hard stuff. Celebrate yourself. I hope you'll take some time to do that. I hope this is helpful for you. If it was, I hope you'll consider hitting the like button. I hope you'll consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.